Hi everybody. This chapter is called process costing, and one of the major components of process costing is to do a cost of production report. This helps us figure out how many units that we have in different categories, and then we're able to assign cost. And when you're doing the cost of production report, you have to do units before you can do the cost portion. Okay, and what I did, I made sure that this follows our textbook's format. And what I've picked on is this is a company that makes flour, and they have a milling department, they have a sifting department, and they have a packaging. We are going to do the sifting department. So we are taking what the milling department has completed and transferred to the sifting department. We're not going to worry about doing the packaging department. If you were to go into cost accounting, you would actually do two departments. So we would probably do both the sifting and the actual packaging. But just for simplicity for this, for managerial accounting, we're going to stick to just one department. So what I've done is I went ahead and pre-filled in the account titles for every section. We have our whole units, we have our direct materials, we have our conversions, and then we have our information. So they've given us information here, and they've given us some information here that we're going to wind up using every little bit of this. So let's just go ahead, like I said, we have to start with units, so let's go ahead and do that. So inventory in process as of July 1st. So we look down here, the balance in the account, work in process, sifting department was on July 1st, 900 units. Okay. How much did we receive from the milling department? Let's see, they don't give us any information down here, but if we look over here, they're actually showing us that the costs that were charged to the work in process sifting department, direct materials transferred from milling department, 15,700 units at $2.15 a unit. Okay, I don't care about the cost right now. That's going to come over here when we get to that part. All I care about right now is the 15,700 units. So what that does, I add my 900 plus my 15,700 units. That gives me my total units accounted for by the sifting department was 16,600. We had 900 already in process, and milling gave us another 15,700 units. So now we need to look at units to be assigned cost. Okay, so now we have to break this down. So our units in process July 1st was the 900 units. Since we are sifting the flour, all of our direct material has to come from the milling. Okay, so kind of critically think about this, that we can't sift anything, I am mixing it up, without the actual product. Okay, so we're not going to have any direct material. So if something doesn't quite make sense, like, okay, why would we have more direct materials added to this? That's kind of thinking a little bit critically there. So on the conversion, it was 3/5 completed for us. We need to do an additional 2/5 of those 900 units. So we take our 900 times 2/5, because 3/5 plus 2/5 give us 1. So then we're able to, we have 360 units. Now we need to look at the started and completed in July. Okay, so we received from the milling department 15,700 units. In our information down below here, they show work in process, sifting department on July 31st was 1,100 units that were 4/5 complete. Okay, so what we can do is we can look at that 15,700 minus our 1,100 that's still in process, and that gives us our started and completed in July. And that total goes across. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be transferring, started and completed, we're going to be transferring 15,500, 14,600, and 14,960. Okay, now inventory in process July 31st, 4/5 complete. Okay, again, critical thinking, we have for the material. The only thing that we may have a difference will be our conversion. So it showed that work in process sifting department on July 31st was 1,100 units. So we'll have 1,100 units there, 1,100 units here. And on conversion, it was only 4/5 complete. So we take that 1,100, we take it times the 4/5, and that gives us 880. Okay, this is, again, we're doing the sifting department, and at the end of July 31st, we were 4/5 complete. Now, if you think about it, if we were doing the packaging, remember how up here, inventory and process July 31st, or July 1st, we finished that 2/5? Over here, in our packaging, we would have completed, since it was 4/5, we would have done 1/5. Okay, so just kind of thought in your head. So total units to be assigned cost is the 15,500 and the 11,100. This is these two added, and this is these two numbers added. If these are good, then we're doing good. Okay, so that is the unit part. So now, cost of production report, we have to look at the actual cost. And we're going to separate this between direct materials and conversion, and we'll have some totals. Okay, so total cost for July in sifting department. So what we can use here, the following costs were charged to work in process sifting department during July. So the $33,755 for direct material. Your conversion is your direct labor plus your factory overhead. And you may, in this textbook and the other ones, they put direct labor and factory overhead together. Don't be surprised if some companies actually separate conversion into direct labor and factory overhead. So we actually would have had 3 costs to account for versus just the direct material and conversion. Okay, so it does happen. So on here, we need to do our total equivalent units. So we have on here our total units to be assigned. Okay, so costs incurred in July, that's going to be the $33,755 plus the $4,420 plus the $2,708. Okay, so our total cost incurred by the sifting department is the $2,061 plus the $40,833. Now we need to look at costs allocated to complete and partially completed units. So inventory in process July 1st, that was the $2,061. Now we needed to complete inventory. Inventory in process, remember over here we had for direct material and conversion, we had some units to complete. Well, we didn't have anything for direct materials, but we did have 360 units for July 1st. So we take that 360 and we multiply it by the 45 cents. That's why we had to find the cost per unit. Okay, so we add, We add the 0 plus the 162, so we get 162. Our cost and completed July 1st are the 2061 and the 162. Started and completed in July. Follow this. Starting completed in July, started and completed in July. So we started 14,600 times the $2.15. The 14,600 times the 45 cents. Add these two together. Okay, this is the cost, the $2,223 plus the $37,960. That was transferred to packaging department in July. Inventory in process in July 31st. Inventory in process July 31st for our units. Okay, so we take the 1,100, take a wild guess. You should take it times $2.15. You should come over to the 880. Hopefully you say I'm going to multiply that by 45 cents. Add those together. So our total cost assigned by the sifting department are the $40,183 plus the $2,761. So we have $42,944 that we have assigned for the sifting department. So again, I've kind of gone through this. You may have to watch this just a few times. Be patient with this. I promise it is practice makes perfect. Once you get the hang of it, it's going to be a piece of cake. But I just want to go through this. So any questions or concerns, please feel free to let me know. Thank you.